What's good, sports fans? It's your boy Damian Adams from The Real Deal with Damian Adams and Rush Hour, coming to you with my top 10 defensive players in the NBA since 1980. Video's a little longer, but I think you'll enjoy it, and please let me know what you think of the list. Here it is. At number 10 on my list is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, the reason that Giannis lands at number 10 on my list is the incredible versatility that he has on defensive end. At 6'11", 240 pounds, he's able to move like a gazelle, both going north and south and east to west, and has definitely used that ability to be a monster on the defensive end. At this stage of his career, he's already been selected to 5 NBA All-Defensive teams and is the 2019-20 Defensive Player of the Year. And these defensive stats aren't empty. It impacts the defensive side of the ball for his team in a major way. 3 out of the last 5 seasons, the Milwaukee Bucks have been top 5 in defensive rating, and this year they had the best defense in the NBA, which has led them to have the best record in the Eastern Conference right now. Now, I'm pretty sure when I do this list in the future, he'll be higher on the list because he's in his prime, and those defensive accolades will continue to accumulate. At number 9, I have Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green has been a starter for the Golden State Warriors since the 2014-15 season. And since that time, the Golden State Warriors have been ranked in the top 5 in defensive rating 5 times. He was the 2016-17 Defensive Player of the Year and has been selected to 7 NBA All-Defensive teams. When we think about the Warriors dynasty, we normally think about Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, the ball movement, the three-point shooting, but they don't win these championships without defense. And the defense was led by Draymond Green. You have to admire his versatility of being able to guard point guards, centers, and everyone in between. So at number 9, I have Draymond Green. At number 8 on my list, I have Dwight Howard. Before he was shooting threes in Taiwan, he was dominating the NBA, and on defense especially. He was a monster, being voted to 5 all-defensive teams, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, was the block champ twice, and a 5-time rebounding champion, which is a big part of defense, ending the possessions. From the years 06-07 through the 2010-11 season, the Orlando Magic were top 6 in defensive rating each and every year, including being first in the 08-09 season, the season they made it to the NBA Finals. Dwight Howard definitely made it easy for his teammates as he was the ultimate eraser back there, along with being able to move his feet unlike most centers during his time. So at number 8 in the top 10 defensive players since 1980, I have Dwight Howard. At number 7 on the list, I have Ben Wallace. Now, if you watch basketball in the early and mid 2000s, you definitely cannot forget about that Detroit Pistons team that just used to terrorize opposing offenses with their tenacious defense. And the anchor of that tenacious defense was Ben Wallace. The undersized center was definitely a giant on the defensive end, blocking everything at the rim, catching all the rebounds, just making life hell on people coming to the rim against the Detroit Pistons. 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, 6 all-defensive teams. At number 6 on my list, I have Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard became the full-time starter for the San Antonio Spurs in the 2012-13 season, and every year from the 2012-13 season through the 2019-20 season, his team has been top 5 in defensive rating. He has incredibly long arms, quick hands, quick feet, which makes him a menace on the perimeter and just gives opposing offenses hell all game. This led to him being a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year and being selected to 7 all-defensive teams. Kawhi Leonard may be the face of load management now, but in his prime, he was the face of locking you up. So at number 6, I have Kawhi Leonard. At number 5 on the list, I have Dennis Rodman. Now, Dennis Rodman had an incredible motor, which helped him be a menace on the defensive end of the court. That's why he was an important part of 5 different championship teams. He became a starter for the Detroit Pistons in the 1987-88 season. And every year from 87-88 through 97-98, the team that he was on was ranked top 10 in defensive efficiency each year except for 1. That shows you the impact that he had on the defensive end. His rebounding was major. 7-time rebounding champion, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Dennis Rodman, man, top 5 defender since 1980. At number 4 on my list, I have Scottie Pippen. Pippen mastered the art of picking up 94 feet and making it work the entire way down the court. And as great as he was on the ball, he was just as great off the ball, playing the passing lanes, taking charges, getting backside blocks. He did everything well on the defensive end, which helped lead the Bulls to 6 championships. He was selected to 10 All-NBA defensive teams and his 7th all-time in steals. The best perimeter defender of all time, and number 4 on my list, Scottie Pippen. Coming in at number 3 on my list, I have Tim Duncan. Now, the San Antonio Spurs throughout the entirety of Tim Duncan's career were always very good to great on defense. And some people will point to the fact that they always had other good defenders, like a late career David Robinson, Bruce Bowen, Kawhi Leonard in his prime. But the common denominator that made a defensive system work was Tim Duncan. He was always in the right place at the right time, protecting the rim in a great way. He's fifth all-time in blocks, averaged over 2 blocks per game throughout the first 10 years of his career. He was voted to 15 NBA All defensive teams. That doesn't happen by accident. Tim Duncan is the greatest power forward of all time, and in my book, the third greatest defender since 1980 in the NBA. Coming in at number 2 on my list, I have Kevin Garnett, who was known for his absurd amount of intensity, which you definitely saw on the defensive end of the court. He was very versatile, ahead of his time when it comes to being able to guard 1 through 4, and that led to him being voted to 12 all-defensive teams, being the 07-08 Defensive Player of the Year, and being one of only 2 players in NBA history to rank top 20 all-time in both blocks and steals. He is 18th respectively in both categories. The Boston Celtics during his time were top 10 in defensive rating each and every year. That shows you the impact of Kevin Garnett. Coming in at number 1, I have Hakeem Olajuwon. This man was an absolute menace on the defensive end. This man is first all-time in blocks and 10th all-time in steals. He's the only center who ranks top 50 all-time in steals, the only player that is top 10 in both blocks and steals respectively. That is an absolute crazy stat when you think about it. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time block champion, had 3 separate seasons where he averaged over 4 blocks per game. This man is the best defender in the NBA since 1980.